I'd like to call to order the Wyoming Valley West School District work session for Wednesday, March 6th at 7:08. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Mr. Damascus,
Here.
Mr. Hardwick,
Here.
Mr. Keating,
Present.
Mr. McGinley,
Present.
Mr. Profetto,
Here.
Mr. Kubuski,
Here.
Mrs. Cassatt, Mr. Kamis.
Here. A moment of silence followed by the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to announce there was an executive session held prior to this meeting to discuss personnel items. Mr. Tosh, Superintendent's comments.
I don't normally, Mr. Kamis, have them on the work session, but I do want to point out one item since it's going to be relevant to this weekend. Isabella Sipe and Brooke Long, two of our female wrestlers, both qualified for the PIAA State Championship in Hershey this weekend and will represent Wyoming Valley West there. And I think it's really a significant accomplishment, and we want to wish them the best of luck this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh, and good luck to the wrestlers. Statements from interested citizens. We have a sign-in sheet. Nobody wants to speak this evening. All right, moving on. Committee reports. Mr. Damascus, do you have anything this evening?
Yes, I do. We had an athletic committee meeting last week, discussed many items. I sent an email out to everybody about what some of the items that are going on that don't really need any action, but some of the things I did want to specifically mention. So we have three main projects. So this kind of covers building and grounds and sports, but we have our softball field dugouts, which will be completed hopefully by the second game. There was a little mix up with some drawing information that was needed to start it, but it looks like we'll be starting that within the next couple of weeks. And again, those will be the two new dugouts down at Third Ave for the softball. The stadium turf, we've been in contact with the contractor to do that. He looks like he'll be available to start end of April, early May, and estimated for 3 weeks to complete. And fingers crossed, it looks like everything will be completed by graduation. So we'll be able to show off our new turf for the graduation. Also one project also that we're doing kind of internally, the baseball field at the stadium needs the new dirt for the infield, which we'll get the dirt and spread it. And also we need to work on the mound. And for anyone who's been involved with Little League or doing the mound is not an easy project. It requires clay bricks and clay and a whole process. So we're going to start working on that. This field's a little wet right now to start on it, but that was part of, as I understand it, verified that it was part of last year's budget, according to Frank, through Dave Cortez, that he said it was the budget. So we're going to be working on getting those items and doing those work. Our winter sports all concluded with, I think they're all fairly successful with the varsity boys basketball, girls basketball, and wrestling. And wrestling, as mentioned, wrestling we're going to be talking about here is girls or women's wrestling. Women's wrestling is now part of the PIAA, and there's championships. As mentioned, we did not have an official women's wrestling team this year. However, we did have two young women who did wrestle, and this year they were allowed, even though they technically didn't wrestle any women's matches or ladies matches, they were allowed to participate in the state tournament, and two of them made it to Hershey, which is, I think they both, one was a second and one was a third seed from this area, which is a huge accomplishment because technically they went into the tournament 0-0 with their record. So unfortunately, that kind of waiver to allow females to go to Hershey in the state was only allowed this year. So I really believe it'll be a good idea and for this board to allow to create or start our wrestling program for the females. Based on early estimates, we'll probably need to hire another coach, at least one coach, the team manager, team coach, and possibly an assistant, but I think we can look at those numbers later. I did talk to Ryan Visello, who's our men's coach now, and he is willing to take that head coach and have a dual role, but we may need to consider an additional coach to help out depending on numbers. He estimates numbers anywhere from the two that we have now who'll be returning to 6 or 7 in the different levels that he has between JVs. But I think we'll have to, we have time to do that though. It's, because it is a winter sport, we don't really need to do it this month or next month, but I think it'll be a great idea to start that women's program up. There are several schools in the area that do women's wrestling. And kind of what they do is they schedule right now, they only have 10 weight classes for the ladies, which is a little bit different than the boys, but the way that they've been doing it so far is they schedule their meets or their matches on the same day as the boys matches. So it's all done the same day. We may have to have some accommodation for practices and stuff like that, but I think we could work out those details. But our athletic director really recommends moving forward with starting up that program. So I think in the next couple of months here, we'll go through the process of starting up that program. With regards to wrestling, and specifically to our head coach, Ryan Visello was awarded by the district referees, and I don't know the exact organization, maybe Tim, the
Wyoming Valley chapter.
the Wyoming Valley chapter of referees awarded Ryan Visello a sportsmanship award, which is they give one out to the AA and one to AAA, and we got for the AAA. So that's a huge accomplishment. I've invited Ryan and his team to be here and introduced in our official meeting next week. And so again, that's a great accomplishment for him. Everything Ryan's been going through to be dedicated to that program is really shows a lot about his character. So that's it for the athletic update.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Camus, can I ask, Brian, excellent report. I only wish the auditorium was packed to hear this wonderful report, but there
There
is
might be 1 or 2 people on the camera there.
so many good things going on, and I hope and would encourage you to please repeat that report next week when there's more people here. I did want to add one thing. If anybody saw today in the Citizens Voice, great article about these 2 young ladies, Isabel and Brooke. But I grabbed a quote and it says, "Together they've trained, together they've won, and together they are making history in the first PIAA Girls Championship at Giants Center in Hershey." It's so much bigger, and I think the direction of moving forward is a great idea. So I'm very
And
supportive of
Ryan
this.
is very excited to start and create a team for the women's side. So
And I think Ryan's one of the best people to probably do it.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hartwick. And congratulations, Mr. Visello, and to these young ladies. Mr. Keating, do you have anything this evening?
Yes, like to welcome our new business manager, Robert Kachurak. Welcome aboard, Rob,
Thank you for the opportunity.
and look really forward to working with you. And we have lots of matters to tend to that you're going to play a key role in giving us the advice we need to make informed decisions up here. I'd just like to say that we've conducted some interviews over the past couple of weeks for various mid-level administrative positions. Some very nice candidates from within our school district, and I think most important tonight, what I'd like to discuss, we touched on it at the last meeting. Next week, we're going to put on our agenda a new compensation package specifically for our principals. With that being salary structured by position and not the person, I think it's a major move forward for Wyoming Valley West in showing the faculty and students that this board, this administration cares about the order and safety of the buildings. Also to be competitive with other schools, although there's no one size fits all. We have to do our best with what we have and the resources that we have. And it's something that's bigger than just the finance committee. I'd like to thank the whole entire board. It's something that was crafted by all of us. We all played a role in doing this, not just any one individual or any one committee. It's something that, you know, we as a board and the leaders of our administration, we saw that this was very important to making this right for our principals, and we're pleased that this is a step in the right direction for Wyoming Valley West. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keating. Mr. McGinley.
Yes, two things. First of all, we met with Mr. Boncheski a week and a half ago. He's the science department chair. He did a great job, really explaining the whole process. I want to commend him on his work. And last week I was lucky enough to talk to the two teachers who work in the as a technology coaches. And they explained a lot about the cyber school, and I think that would be a topic that maybe we should all hear about. They did a great job, and the cyber school is really a positive thing, I think, for the district. So I think that's something we'll have to pursue a little bit in the coming months. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. McGinley. Mr. Hardwick. You have anything? Regarding ESSERS, I would defer either to Mr. Tosh or Kim Walk if there's anything to offer at this point. Otherwise, we'll hopefully get together with both of them before next week and offer a report. Okay. The other part, special education. So as I mentioned in executive session, I have been the holdup on determining a date for our board education. I do have a date for the group to consider. It would be next Monday, 3/11, from 5 to 7 here in the conference room. This works for Maria Barada, our Director of Special Education, and attorney Chris Baumbach, who's our specialized attorney in that area. I'll send an email out. Hopefully everybody's available, but we'll be meeting here again in the conference room next Monday, 5 to 7 p.m. On that note, and then speaking with Maria, as well as seeing in the newspaper, I did see that we lost a young man who was in our special education program. His name was Zachary Schumacher, or I believe it's Shoemaker. So my condolences to his mom and dad, Jason and Tracy. The young man was 19 years old. To my understanding, he did bank his diploma, so he will be receiving his diploma this year. And Mr. Tosh also said we'll expand a little further next week, but I did want to put that out there. I'm sure the board shares the condolences. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hardwick. Buildings and grounds, that'll be really quick. Site log is in the middle school, just so everybody knows. They're actively working, getting ready for the warm weather because the building's gonna be full swing here as soon as school lets out. We do have that RFP out now for engineering services, so that's out for another week. So we should be hearing back for that very shortly on an engineering firm for that'll be for Dana Street cafeteria, and that'll also be for this middle school cafeteria. And just so everyone knows, there's a Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting tomorrow at 3:30. So more to follow for next week. And I just have to say our assistant, Mr. Cordes, is doing a pretty good job. Well informed, and he's really stepped up to the plate. So just so everybody knows, he's really working it pretty hard. So everybody knows, it's nice to have employees that'll step up and help us in a time of need. That's all I have. Moving on, general recommended action items 1 through 24. Do you have any questions on that this evening? Anybody?
One comment I'd like to make.
Sure.
you can see the vast majority is the policies.
Yes,
And we've been working on that, and most of the policies are mandated by the state or legal liability situations. So you see a lot of different numbers there. The vast majority of those policies, really, we have very little choice except to go along with. So just a note of what's happening there. Thank you.
and again, Mr. McGinley, thank you for taking this on and pointing it out that these are mandated, so we're not rushing this through, but our policy book hasn't been updated in many, many years. And this is an important thing, and for Mr. Tosh as well as trying to take this on and get this done. Thank you to everybody involved.
I have a question on 24. Mr. Camus,
Yes, go ahead.
number 24. Training for testing in the pool. We're gonna have people trained to be able to test the pool in-house.
Yes.
Do we know how long that training will take?
So I mean, I can answer it. I do hold a CPO to operate a pool. It's as fast as the people can understand it. It's 500 gallons of water or 300,000 gallons of water. It's still the same no matter what. But the thing about it is you do have to take a very lengthy test that's required to be a CPO. So the school cannot operate that pool without a CPO.
Right.
So I don't know, I'm a little bit vague on your answer, but it's up to the aptitude of the person that's being trained.
So we don't have a time frame. It's not a month. It's not.
Correct.
It takes some time because I think Rick, speaking from experience also, they have a community pool. Kingston has a community pool. You know, we have to train staff members that have the wherewithal and actually want to do those things. If not, you have to get somebody that's commercially trained to do so. And DEP does monitor, you know, school and public pools. So it's really not something that we have any flexibility with it. It must be done. And it's something that if we want to look down the road, depending on the status of Mr. Rivera at this time, because he's out on leave, if somebody's going to have to want to do this, it's not something that we could just delegate and say, hey, Mark, or hey, Nick, you know, this is going to be your job, because there is significant testing that's required for this.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a training time period. That's all. I was just curious if there was some kind of classes, 3 months, 4. I wasn't aware of it. That's why I was asking.
And they only give them at certain times of the year. So it's not something that we could say like, hey, tomorrow or next week. It has to be when these courses are being offered. And there aren't many outlets that offer.
You have to renew it every year then after that?
You take continuing education credits.
That's good. We're getting more employees then trained in this, so in case we run into something like this again where somebody's off that is trained in it, so.
Absolutely. Once we have a CPO, we could designate multiple employees to work underneath that person. But you have to have a CPO on staff, and that's the whole point of item number 24 being on our agenda. That help, Mark?
Well, yeah, I was just curious if it was a month, 2 months, 3 months. I have my pesticide license, so I can relate to this.
So it's the same thing,
I-
exactly the same process, exactly the same.
I
You can
know,
take the test tomorrow and pass it, you could be a CPO.
I know what it took to get the pesticide license, so.
Yeah, so. All right, thank you. Anything else? Anyone? Staff recommended action items 1 through 11. Any questions on those? All right, moving on. Well, not to put you on the spot, Mr. Kucharik, but do you have anything you'd like to add this evening?
No, once again for the opportunity, thanks again for the opportunity. Started Monday. Forward to the challenge, and it will be a challenge. But once again, thank you.
Thank you. And I think I could say that you have this board's confidence. 100%. And if you need something, don't hesitate to ever reach out.
Okay.
We'll go around the table. Mr. McGinley, do you have anything you'd like to discuss this evening?
No, I already had nothing to say. Thank you.
Mr. Kubaski?
Have we have a little follow-up on the security cameras for buses? Any information on that?
Mr. Dickton isn't here this evening. So if you don't mind, if we could wait till next week on that one.
Sure.
I know he has the answers for you. I just don't want to overstep.
Okay.
Mr. Perfetto, do you have anything?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson?
Just briefly, I just want to welcome aboard Mr. Kuchurak. The board's very happy that you're here. We've been waiting for a while for finance manager, so welcome aboard. And thank you very much, Ms. Walk, for filling in, at finance manager's absence. I know there's a lot of moving parts, writing grants and ESSERs, but I would just want to say thank you for filling in. That's all I have.
Yes, thank you.
I just want to say that Ms. Walk is critical to the whole, I guess, procedural that we are going to try to implement.
Great to hear.
I'm thrilled to be working,
Great to hear. Great to hear. Thank you again very much.
and I look forward to working with the whole team, the whole admin team.
Excellent. Mr. Hardwick?
I'm gonna piggyback just a little bit on Ms. Walk. I can tell you that the interactions I've had with Kim, she's very sharp. And what's interesting is a lot of the procedural items that I learned she introduced in the finance office. The finance office was very pleased to find that there was a more efficient, accurate way of doing something. So thank you, Kim, and welcome, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardwick. Mr. Keating?
The only comment I have is I've had the pleasure to read to the students at Third Avenue on Friday morning at a blast.
Excellent, excellent. Mr. DeBascus?
I think I had the privilege or honor for a fifth grade class up at State Street, and I was a little intimidated. Usually I go to the kindergarten, younger kids, but I really enjoyed the fifth grade class. They did a great job. I was a little afraid at first, but got over that.
Mr. Tosh, would you like to add anything this
I
evening?
just want to again welcome Mr. Kucharik. It's been a pleasure working with him for the first 3 days. I think this district's in really good shape with Kim and him at the helm. And I do want to compliment this board, as I said last week, piggybacking on what Mr. Keating had said. We have struggled as a school district from the standpoint of keeping good qualified administrators over the years. We've lost a number of them. And the fact that this board is taking on that challenge and saying, we're going to take a good hard look at the salaries so that we can maintain administrators. I think it's a long time coming, and I compliment the board.
Thank you, Mr. Tosh. I'm just going to be real quick, but I would like to add, I sit here this evening and listen, going around the table and listen to everybody. I mean, from Mr. Keating's comments that, we're finally going to be able to expand our Act 93 and help with our administration side. There's more to come and there's a lot more work to do, but there's a lot of good movement going on. Mr. DeBascus announced that our turf's going to be in for graduation, and we got girls dugouts coming in, and we have a man that won the award for his coaching, and we have girls that are going down to Hershey. It's great. Mr. McGinley and Mr. Tosh is working on the policies. I mean, we're moving in such a positive direction. I just would like to reflect it. That's all I have. Thank you, everyone. So our next meeting is next Wednesday. It'll be here March 13th, at 7 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Adjourn.